Hello everyone, myself Thanuja. I am studying MSc in Computer Science at Manasa Gangotri, Mysore. Today I am going to present the topic that is reinforcement learning, semi-supervised learning, criteria, functions of clustering, similarity and dissimilarity measures. Reinforcement learning is a type of machine learning technique that an agent to learn in an interactive environment by trial and error using feedback from its own actions and experience. Close to human learning, algorithm learns a policy of how to act in a given environment. Every action has some impact in the environment and the environment provides rewards that guides the learning algorithm. Meaning of reinforcement: occurrence of an event in the proper relation to a response that tends to increase the probability that a response will occur again in the same situation. Example: each is enough to determine the state. The agent can decompose the reward component from a percept. The agent tasks to find an optimal policy, mapping states to actions that maximize long-run measure of the reinforcement. Think of reinforcement as reward can be modeled as MDP model. Reinforcement learning algorithms. First one, value based. In a value based reinforcement learning method, you should try to maximize a value function. In this method, the agent is expecting a long term return of the current states under policy pi. Policy based In a policy based reinforcement learning method, you try to come up with such a policy that the action performed in every state helps you to gain maximum reward in the future. Model based reinforcement learning method, you need to create a virtual model for each environment. The agent learns to perform in that specific environment. Types of reinforcement. There are two types of reinforcement: positive and negative. Positive reinforcement is defined as when an event occurs due to a particular behavior, increases the strength and the frequency of the behavior. In other words, it has a positive effect on behavior. Negative reinforcement is defined as strengthening of a behavior because a negative condition is stopped or avoided. Characteristics of reinforcement learning. There is no supervisor, only a real number, a reward signal. Sequential decision making. Time play a role in reinforcement problems. Feedback is always delayed. Agent's action determine the subsequent data it receives. Applications of reinforcement learning. Robotics for industrial automation, business strategy planning, machine learning and data processing. It helps you to create training systems that provide custom instruction and materials according to the requirement of students. Aircraft control and robot motion control. Next, semi-supervised learning. Can we improve the quality of our learning by combining labeled and unlabeled data? Usually a lot more unlabeled data available than labeled. Assume a set L of labeled data and U of unlabeled data. Focus on semi-supervised classification. There are many other variations. Hiding clustering with some labeled data. Regression model selection with unlabeled data. Transaction versus induction. Unlabeled data provide information about the joint probability distribution over words. How semi-supervised works. Some commonly used assumption: clusters of data are from the same class. Data can be represented as a mixture of parameterized distributions. Decision boundaries should go through non-dense areas of the data. Model should be as simple as possible. Generative models. Generative assumed data can be represented by some mixture of parameterized models and use EM to learn parameters. Next, graph models. Graph models neighbor nodes assumed to be similar with large edge weights. For same class member in L to be close while maintaining smoothness with respect to the graph for U. Add in members of U as neighbors based on some similarity. Iteratively label U. Criterion function for clustering. Cluster examination isolates information into bunches that are important, valuable, or both. In case significant bunches are the objective, at that point the clusters to capture the common structure of the information. In a few cases, be that as it may, cluster investigation is a it were a valuable beginning point for other purposes such as information summarization. A great clustering strategy will create tall quality clusters in which the quality of a clustering result depends on both the degree utilized by the strategy and its usage. Criterion function for clustering. Internal criterion function. This class of grouping is an intra-cluster view. Internal basis work upgrades a capacity and measures the nature of bunching capacity different groups which are unique in relation to each other. Hybrid criterion function. This work is utilized because it has the capacity to act to at the same time optimize numerous person model capacities not at all like as inside basis work and outside basis work. External criterion function. This lesson of clustering measure is an inter-class view. External basis work optimizes a work and measures the quality of clustering capacity of different clusters which are from each other. Similarity and dissimilarity measures. Similarity measures is a numerical measures of how alike two data objects are. Higher when objects are more like. Often falls in the range 0-1. Similarity might be used to identify duplicate data that may have differences due to typos. Equivalent instances from different data sets, groups of data that are very close. Dissimilarity measures. Minimum dissimilarity is often 0, while the upper limit varies depending on how much variation can be dissimilarity might be used to identify. Is a numerical measures of how different two data objects are. Lower when objects are more like outliers. Interesting expectation exceptions. Credit card fraud. Boundaries to clusters. Manhattan distance. Manhattan distance is a special case of the Minkowski distance at m equal 1. Like its parent, Manhattan is sensitive to outliers. When this distance measure is used in clustering algorithms, the shape of clusters is hyperrectangular. This measure is defined as dm sigma I equal 1 xi yi. Thank you.